Hi, good evening. Welcome to Neighborhood News. It is Tuesday night, or it may be a rerun, so it might be another night, right? Thursday?
Yes, that's
So,
usually what I say.
Back for another show.
Back for another show.
And I'm taking your line, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. You just translate.
No, I can't do
After
that.
2 years, finally you translate something for me.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe we can get our guest, City Councillor Pereira, to do your spiel today, and you don't have to say anything.
Sure. Go right ahead, Linda.
Isto é as notícias das vizinhanças e se estão a ver isto, começa na terça-feira e se está a ver este programa e não é terça-feira, é porque estás a ver um programa que já está a repetir, mas vem um novo a seguir.
Very good.
Bem-vindo a vocês.
Wow, this is great. I can't remember what I said 20 minutes ago.
No, let's do Linda, let's do this one in Portuguese.
Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
Well, you can, if you want, you can go back and forth. That's fine.
It's okay, it's okay. Mas é verdade, nós estamos de volta a mais um programa das suas notícias da sua vizinhança e hoje nós estamos de volta, como aconteceu semana passada, a Conselheira Municipal Linda Pereira. So we're back one more week, and our guest.
Yeah, we already announced, but welcome, City Councillor Linda Pereira. This is the second part of a two-part series, I guess, right?
Exactly. So we spoke about her surgery the last week. We spoke a little bit about everything, and we touched very brief on the pay-as-you-throw.
Yep.
So probably will be a good start point. For this show, and then we will see what we're going to talk about.
Okay, that's fine. I know there, and everybody has a different opinion.
Yes.
You know, of anything. You know, but I think that with anything in this city, I think most people will agree to disagree at one point. But everybody has their opinion, and we have to respect everybody's opinion.
Exactly.
So with that,
that's
so there's not going to be no fighting.
No. And that's been my thing since the first time that I approached the city council when back on the days that the mayor was saying that it's out of question, pay as you throw. We went to the first presentation out of 5 presentations there, and we were in favor of pay as you throw. But what I want to say is I have a lot of friends that don't agree with me. I totally respect them. We still friends, and we are friends. It's just because we don't agree in one thing, that doesn't mean that we're going to be enemies.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then we're going to agree and the next 10 things that's going to come to the city council, we're going to agree on. So, and I have a lot of respect from them. We are all in different situations. I have to say this because I have a single family. A lot of my friends have tenements.
I'm on TV.
And they are in a different situation that I am.
Yeah.
So probably I will be in the same situation that these people are if I have renters. You know, I would be in a different situation, and probably I will not be, you know, in favor of this.
Exactly.
But as right now, and on the position that I have, just having a single family, and just I don't think that I want to put myself into a bill that's going to cost me $24 just to make a point and to make the mayor feel bad. You know, or just to make a point across that the mayor is doing wrong, putting this, you know, with the people's approval or even with the city council's approval.
First of all, the city council never approved Pay As You Throw. Pay As You Throw is a program that was implemented by the mayor. If you ask me today what the fines will be, I couldn't tell you because nothing has gone in front of the ordinance committee. I've heard say that tenants are going to be responsible for their own pay-as-you-throw bags. They're going to be responsible for doing the right thing. That landlords would not be affected by this. Then I hear on the radio that in fact, if the tenants are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, then the landlords would be brought to the table. I'm not going to pay a fine because somebody else isn't doing their job. As a landlord, you're supposed to provide somebody with housing. You know, make sure they have heat, make sure they have running water, hot water, etc. That's your job as a landlord, that people have a safe, clean environment in which to reside. Now, I have a single-family home. So for me, buying bags, and I'm responsible for myself, and it may work for me. However, I have a multifamily home too. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, the tenants, what am I to do? I have sent out a letter to everyone with the card that kind of talks about pay-as-you-throw, explains what can be recycled, what cannot, with a note that, you know, this is what the city expects to have happen, and it begins on August the 4th. But if that doesn't happen, as the owner of that property, I will get a dumpster. And it's not to show the mayor, oh, you're wrong. If my tenants aren't going to do it, I'm not going to be paying $100, $200, $300, $500, whatever the fine is. I'm not going to pay it because I am tired of being responsible for others. Everybody needs to be responsible for themselves. But as a landlord of that property, Carlos, if I'm paying $24 a month for a dumpster, that's a tax write-off for me. So I would rather do that and have a tax write-off than pay a fine. And if I said to my tenants, look, instead of buying bags, everybody's rent's going to go up $3 a month, instead of buying, or $5 a month instead of buying bags, what's your thoughts on that? I think my tenants would say, I'd rather pay $5 and just have one trash can. You've got to think of some of the apartments in Fall River, some of the kitchens in some of the tenement houses. You know, we didn't have that open kitchen concept. Usually it's a little pantry. Where do you put all these barrels? And one for recyclable, and you got to have one for your bottles and cans, and then you have one for your trash. I don't know,
No,
but I think try it.
Yeah,
Okay, you want to try it, try it. I just think it wasn't implemented the right way. It wasn't rolled out the right way. There wasn't enough education given on it. I mean, the mayor himself said he was totally against it. It was off the table. That wasn't even on the table. You know, I'm not in favor of pay-as-you-throw. And then we have pay-as-you-throw.
No, I understand.
I get it, but I just wanted to change the subject for a minute because it's true. It depends on what your situation is. You're going to think a
Absolutely.
different way. But, you know, with this whole thing, this whole trash thing is nothing new. We knew this was coming down the road year after year. And, you know, I know we have the strong mayor, you know, weak council thing, but, you know, I'm just wondering if there's some way of getting, like, you guys saying, look, this is the budget, and I know you said you voted against this past budget, but going forward saying, you know, we want to get the firefighters back. Where's, you know, we need to put money aside. Like, you know, when you buy something, if you want to go on a vacation, you put money in an account somewhere and do that. And I think for some reason we don't seem
But
to
John,
do that.
right now, you know what the budget is.
Yeah.
You have $3.5 million on this pay-as-you-throw.
Yeah.
You don't know that that's a given number. You're getting these facts and figures from the company that's selling the bags.
Yeah.
So, to me, you don't know that that's the figure. And besides that, that's not the only issue I have. If the budget is as tight as it is, then stop with the raises.
Yeah. I
Put
agree.
a freeze
I
on
agree.
the raises and put a freeze on the hiring. Yeah, I heard day before yesterday, when well, I don't know what day this is going to air, but, you know, when I was at the council meeting, somebody said, you know, there's positions in Park Department, there's positions in DPW, positions in water. Wait a minute. If somebody retires and you have to fill a position, fine.
Yeah.
But you can't, you know, keep doing this. And then another thing that I'm looking into, the Child Development Center that we've had for years in Fall River, all of a sudden People Incorporating has taken that over. The human resource person was in charge, and then it went to Dr. Valancourt. What does human resource Dr. Valancourt have to do with the Child Development Center? So now People Incorporate has gotten that. What about all those people that worked there? Now they have no pension? So you've worked there for 20 years, you're going to retire next year, you've got no pension? You're just going to get a check for the money you put in? That's not fair to do to anybody.
No, well, that was probably, you know, that was probably why they made that decision. That may have been the, you know, reason to make the decision to make a lower pay to get that pension. So you're right. I'm surprised there's nothing that's grandfathered in, just saying here's a check. That's surprising.
I don't know. Nobody has heard anything. They went in, walked in the door, and told the staff, this is what's happening. This place is taking you over. They'll remain in the same location. You know, they've been at Temple Bethel for several years, and they will remain there. But how do you do that to people? Like, what is the long-range plans? What are the goals and objectives? I mean, you talk about the fire department, you talk about the trash. I'll tell you, I voted to keep the airport open because years ago when they closed the Fall River Airport, that was one of the dumbest things that this community has ever done. People like to fly into places. You want to get a business in here that's a business of substance, lots of them have corporate jets. I have a cousin that's what he does. He's a pilot, and he, you know, he couldn't believe when they closed this airport. And above all, Taunton has an airport, New Bedford has an airport, and our airport, because it was built by the Army Corps of Engineers, even if Taunton and New Bedford were fogged in because ours was higher up, ours wasn't fogged in. So to close that airport because the seagulls were going to get into the engines, that would have closed the landfill at that time. And at that time, nobody had the backbone to start addressing the waste issue. You closed an airport. But we knew it was going to close. The mayor put together a task force. Did you ever hear what that task force recommendation was? We put a task force together for the SAFER grant. And when I'd ask them what's going on, it's all set. It's all set. Really, if this was all set, this was a shame.
No, and that's why I'm thinking that, you know, because of a lot of things, everybody's picking on pay-as-you-throw because of a lot of things,
and I agree.
which don't have nothing to do with this.
And I'm going to agree with Linda on this and you that it was, I thought, and I said this at one of the neighborhood meetings, that we do this, that money should have gone and stayed in public works accounts. That's where that should have stayed, so they could have done different things and they could have fixed roads and stuff. So you're right, the money was, but I understand it was given to the firefighters, which we want to do, but yeah, it's...
You have to increase the revenue to be able to support the services and pay for the services that we need in our community. You need to be able to do that. And you need to think of ways of generating that income. Don't come around and talk to me about casinos. I just saw something on TV last night. Atlantic City, 4 casinos are shutting down.
Well, the original one.
Desolate around it.
The original one that opened, because I remember going to that back in the early 80s. It was Donald Trump. I guess it was Trump. They're closing down, right?
They're closing down, but Trump doesn't own it. Somebody else does. There was another one that opened up 4 years ago. Supposed to be the nicest one there. They're closing down. And they said that it's closing down because many other states have allowed gaming, and they're not getting the people to drive all the way to Atlantic City. And what they said was they need to redo themselves like Vegas. Vegas has redone themselves by having, you know, prime entertainment. And that Atlantic City has got to start doing that. But that's a long shot. You know, you talk about a casino, you talk about Amazon, and the latest thing, talk about the Olympics. Who's going to pay to create a venue here? I remember, I think it was Carlton Viveris years and years ago, might have been in the 70s. Remember when we had the Tour de France and the bikes all came through? Didn't bikes come through Fall River?
I'm not sure. But I was younger. If it was in the 70s, I probably wouldn't remember, but I was...
Okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm showing my age. I'm sorry.
My only question is, how was the streets back then?
But
Streets were better. We hadn't
they were
got as much
better.
snow.
Yeah, they were much. But you know what, Linda, with the whole Olympic thing, that's what I thought too. Look at Greece and China. Look at the millions of dollars that they spent on these venues. We can't afford to build that. And who's going to build that for us? If somebody builds it for us, then they're going to decide the destiny of all this stuff. You know?
The only good thing that I took from this was a letter was sent to somebody, at least this somebody knows where Fall River is.
Well, Romney knows where Fall River is. Romney knows where Fall River is.
That's the
And
best part that I got.
And what does Romney have to do with the Olympics today, Carlos?
Well, number one,
what does he have to do with the
He had
Olympics?
some experience, but Romney...
In Utah, through the Olympics.
And Romney, we never voted for him here, so he's probably going to be like, you know what I mean? You know, a lot of people didn't vote for him here, so what is he going to, how is he going to help?
The concern that I have is that you play with people's emotions, because there are so many people out here living in our community that really want a good paying job. They want a job. And, you know, to throw something out, oh, we're going to throw Arizona, let's go for that small business in Fall River that we can expand and create and help grow. Let's look at the resources that we have in our water supply. Look for water industries that want to come in. Let's bottle our own water and sell it. Certainly, everybody's buying bottled water, so maybe you can have a company that will come in and look at that.
I kind of give up on the small business issue, then try to promote small business to do all that. I know you did stickers and all of that.
I promote small business.
We keep pushing and we keep pushing and we keep pushing. And the last things that I'm being hearing is Aeroport Road. Aeroport roads, aeroport roads, aeroport roads. So if somebody could move the whole city up to airport roads, we will have City of Fall River and
in the
Aeroport
Flint,
Road.
in the Flint, you have the only curtain store in Fall River. That's great. Promote that.
I know that, but you know that. But where's the people that's supposed to be promoting that?
But Linda,
That's why we want to have that economic development tourism person, so that that will be one thing that's on there. Fall River. This is, you know, we have. We have a book company here. We have, you know, people don't know what you have.
I just hope that this person is not going to just promote the airport roads.
No,
I
shouldn't,
think so.
because that's crazy. Because
I don't think so.
You've been to DC. Even DC, they've got the certain circles all over the place, and they have all the businesses around there. But I think one thing, what we were talking about, small business, you know, starting a small business, I guess, or keeping them, is that years ago during Fall River Celebrates, they had a bus tour through Fall River. It went through the Historical Society to Oak Grove Cemetery and showed the grave sites, went to Maplecroft, and that bus, every year I took it, it was packed with people. You know, maybe the city could even do that. Get a grant, like Carrera had a grant, because I had learned there was the Underground Railroad where what's the Heritage Heights?
Street.
Yeah, Heritage Heights.
Right.
The British came up that hill. You know, and this is stuff like, I'm like, wow, I really didn't even realize all this happened. Maybe that would be something that the city could spend a little bit of money and just even hire, like, say, somebody like Stephanie or get them to volunteer to do this and see how it works out.
At that time was Maureen Estes that run that
Maureen
program.
did a wonderful program, a wonderful job with that program.
Wonderful
She's
job
Maureen
with that.
Estes Flanagan now. She got married.
Oh, really?
No relation to the man, but she got married.
Good friend. I worked with her for many, many years.
Lovely lady and very much of a go-getter.
Yes.
You know, to really push and get things done. And even somebody like Stephanie, she would train a number of people to do that. I mean, gee, she's got a PhD, she's an educator, she's a historian, she's got her library science degree. I mean, an intelligent person.
Yes.
But unfortunately, you've gotten involved in
And she's in
politics.
Fall River. We don't even have to grab her from
Exactly.
outside.
But again, then I think with the one that Maureen did that I went on, it wasn't. I don't know how well it was publicized because there were maybe 3 or 4 people on there. I think sometimes we got to get people from outside, you know, because people don't appreciate what you have in your own backyard. People in Disney don't go to Disney World all the time because they're used to it. So, you know, so I think it all goes back to what you're saying. It has to be marketed here. We have to market the Battleship, the Lizzie Borden. How about like with Salem, how they have all the signs up with the witches there? You know?
And you might want to market that as a group ticket price too, for people. We also fail immensely in Fall River to promote the American Indian that we had. I mean, the Quickiechan River. And there are, if you talk to some of the members of the tribe, and they're having problems even getting on their own land, and you know, somebody else is on the land and they can't get to where graves are to clean graves of their ancestors because somebody changed the lock on the gate. That's not unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. But you know, you do have Mr. Page, who's the chief, who is alive, doing well, who would love to do something like that, and his wife is the historian. We're going to lose that history if we don't secure it.
Yes. And it's so much in Fall River. It's so much.
But you know what? Before we get further, because I think it looks like we're getting toward the end again. What do you think the council's going to work on, Linda, to try to? I mean, because I think the best thing is that whole economic development person / tourism thing. That I think that could really open things up. But what do you think else that could be worked on that could probably move this along with that position? Are you guys going to be involved in, I know hiring, but
There is going to be some involvement. The president of the council asked Councilor Mayoza and Councilor Rigo to serve on that committee. Also serving on that committee was Kathy Viveris is on that committee. Rob Mellion from the Chamber is on that committee, as is Kenny Fiola. Honestly, I don't think Kenny should be on that committee because I think that there might be a little bit of conflict. Kenny's position with FroEd is very different than this position that we're looking for. Ken's position is more so making sure that there's land available for somebody comes in, someone needs a low interest loan, and that's what FroEd was initially created for, because the interest rates at the bank were very high, and if it was a minority, if it was a woman, you know, they could give you a decent loan and help you out, and they have done that. They have done that with TIF agreements, et cetera. And I think that's where FroEd should be. This position is different, and people are feeling like, well, we have Fiola, and why get another position? He's not doing his job. No, it's totally different.
And you know,
one has nothing to do with the other.
The way things are going, it's not really, you know what I mean, he probably doesn't have time to do this, so this is why you guys are hiring the position. But one suggestion, and you know, maybe if somebody's listening out there, is to, how about have the HR director be involved in that, because that person, to me, is a key person that they're used to, going through the hiring process. I mean, the lady that's in there worked for Quaker, so I think she has some background. I think that would be a good person to have
Or maybe
on
they
that.
should get somebody from a neighborhood group who has HR experience to serve on that committee. Would you have time to do that?
No,
I think that would be a good
Yeah,
balance.
yeah, I'm just, but I'm
I think it
thinking
would be a
that,
good
I think
balance.
that would probably be better for Ken to be, but somebody that has background in that, and I think the city HR person, and I don't want to put her, you know, in a
Right,
place, but
right.
I think that would be a good thing to put in there, you know?
And
Just-
most important, please don't put people that are already in other committees.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Because
don't think that,
when that person don't agree with this project on this committee, he's not going to agree on the next committee and the next committee and the next committee. It's plenty people out there that are dedicated to our city, that never been asked, you know, to serve the city in the boards.
And I
It's
agree.
so many people out
I
there.
agree. I think that when you have a position open, that you should.
Yeah.
You know, if I was the mayor, I'd say this position, there is a position on the redevelopment authority that has opened up. Anyone interested, please send me your resume.
No, that's
Because
that's
then
great.
you're giving everybody an opportunity. I mean, I know a young fellow who lives in Fall River. He was a former student of mine. He's an architect. And if I was having a school built or something that I needed to have somebody on a committee, I'd be looking at somebody like that who's an architect who knows.
But again-
and I know that he would certainly know
You
about.
could recommend somebody
Absolutely.
that you know that you're going to do the job. That's what I think that's important is when you recommend somebody, you know that person and you give the trust in that person to do a job.
And I don't think that if somebody's employed by the city, that they should serve on any board. And we have people who are employed by the city that serve on a board, and I don't think that that's appropriate.
I
I
agree
think
with that.
that there's always that gray area there.
I just think the HR person that works for the city should be involved in this stuff. You know, I mean, they have the expertise behind this, and
Right.
I really think that's important. But before
I'd love to have been on the committee because I'm the one that told the mayor I want $100,000 to do this. And then he put it in and then said, no, I'm not giving you the money. Well, you told us that you would, and we voted for the budget with that caveat that you were going to give us that $100,000 because we knew we needed to bring in extra revenue, extra money to keep these firefighters. And that was one way that we thought we could get some extra revenue coming in. And then he didn't want to give us the money. And then this time when I met with him, he said, well, you know, I want you to know I'm putting $100,000 in the budget. I said, well, I hope you're a man of your word this time. Because you told me you were going to do that last year. You put the money in and then never used it. That wasn't what we talked to you about. We wanted that person to get revenue, and maybe we would have been able to keep a few more firefighters on. But you've got to generate. You've got to generate the revenue.
But before we get the signal shortly,
Okay.
Is the city council, is this person going to at least give feedback? I know they're probably not going to answer to them. But will they at least provide feedback every month or something? Is that something that you
Well,
guys are
I
shooting
think that
for?
that's something that they're putting together the committee now, and the committee will put together what the scope of that person's position will be, and that will be discussed as to what the scope of the position will be. I would hope so. I would hope that there would be some interaction, some feedback, talk to the councilors, see what we're looking for, what we think may help the city move forward, and look at things like that. So
I think it's essential at least to let you guys know what's going on, even if they're not going to let you provide a lot of input, just to know this is what's going on, I'm working on this, this, and this, because I'm sure you guys get calls too, and if you don't know what's going on.
A lot of times the people don't like to just talk too much about, especially if they are the negotiations and stuff like that. That happens a lot too. So.
Yeah, but
well,
I
it's different if they're in negotiations for salaries and things like that. I mean, and that's one of the things that should be changed on the charter, because every single position in the city of department head should be voted on by the council, and any raises, et cetera, should be voted on by the council. It shouldn't be that the mayor just has the authority to give somebody a $10,000 raise, somebody else an $18,000, another person a $10,000, and then people start yelling at the council, oh, where's all this money? We didn't have control over that. We don't have control over what raise people get. Trust me, I would love to see people getting a raise, because I know people work hard and they should be compensated for their hard work. And there are people who work hard. They talk about city workers sometimes, and I see how city workers work. And yeah, you'll always get those that give 150% and those that, just give their 100%. But we have a whole lot of people here that are giving 150% or better, and they don't get compensated for it. But when you don't have the money, you can't give money here and then not give money here. It just causes for so much morale, disruption, et cetera.
Well, it opens you up to complaints too.
Absolutely.
If you're not consistent with things, you're right. It opens it up.
Well, and sometimes we don't give you much. The mayor, I'm not me, but the mayor won't offer too much in salary. But this mayor or mayors in the past, but you'll get a better benefit. You'll get a better health insurance and this and that, and you agree to it. And then all of a sudden they want to change your health insurance. You're like, whoa. Yeah.
Yes.
But I think that's essential.
But I think it's justice and fairness. It's got to be fairness. And if people saw fairness, this city would run a whole lot better. You've got to see the fairness.
And one thing is the complaint. For the past 2 months, I've been here. I'm just complaining because I want to complain. I want to complain. And I never saw nothing like this in 26 years on the city. I never saw nothing like this about pay-as-you-throw. Like, people are throwing in there. They cannot buy bags because either they're going to buy medication or buy bags. I would like to know which medication costs $1.50.
It is crazy, Carlos, but I'm pointing this to, I think everything's crazy. And then I'm talking totally outside the city now, but when I had my kid in the 80s, I would have never thought of leaving my kid in a car. And people are saying that happens now. I'm like, sorry, I've never heard of that before in my life. So I think the world's going crazy with some of this stuff. It's not only
here. And part of it, I'll tell you, if people in Fall River were recycling and putting just trash in their green bins and just recyclables in their blue bins, we wouldn't need pay-as-you-throw.
Exactly.
Because the city would be getting the money that it needs to generate with the recyclables. But you're getting the blue bag because that blue bag, a portion of that goes to the bag company because they're making the bag, and that other money goes to the city.
And it's been 3 years that, that we have the bins that we should be recycling.
The next thing you're going to hear is that they're going to want to have a transfer station.
Yes.
Built by the city. And somebody said last at a council meeting, I think it might have been, I forgot who said it. I've heard about this, and I shook my head. Yep, it is. I've heard it too.
Well,
and
we already
how are we going to pay for it?
Sorry, we're already seeing the lines there. So.
We're going to have to take out a bond. How are we going to pay for it? Can't dig in my pockets any deeper.
Thank you,
thanks
Linda.
a lot.
Hey, lovely being here. Anytime, just give me a holler. And
thank you. Thank you for coming.
Have a good night, folks.